What really happened in the Portland protests that everyone is talking about? You may have heard about concrete milkshakes, seen images of an old bloodied up man, and of course, the video of Andy Ngo being attacked and the pictures afterwards. You may have heard the allegations of a brain hemorrhage that Andy suffered after the incident, so we must ask, what led to this? Who is Andy Ngo, and what led the Portland anti-fascists and members of the Black Bloc to attack him? We're going to run through all of these because each indicates how the far right is attempting to market a false image of the left to their supporters, alongside the naive liberals in the centre who begin to accept these theories as true. Why do they do that? I will explain later once I have explained the claims that the alt-right has been making to push through their agenda. It's much more complex than you'd imagine. So with that, let's get on to the first claim they make. Claim 1. The allegations of milkshakes containing quick dry cement. This claim started straight after the incident and is a claim we need to find evidence for. If you ask the people who allege this, they claim that the Portland police tweeted about quick dry cement in the milkshakes. There was a tweet and it reads as follows. Police have received information that some of the milkshakes thrown today during the demonstration contained quick drying cement. We are encouraging anyone hit with a substance today to report it to police. You can see why people believe this as a definite claim, whilst other pictures of spilt milkshakes are being used to attempt to back this up. However, when journalists came asking for proof about these claims, Portland police did not give any proof when pushed on the claim by journalists. The origins of these claims come from an alt-right troll who posted a recipe for milkshakes which reads as follows. The recipe to the milkshakes used today is soy milk, quick-read cement mix, and other chemical additives to cause long-term injury and burns. It ends with, we hope the piggy officers and Proud Boys enjoyed the shake back. What gave it away as fake was the soy milk. I bet this alt-right troll couldn't resist to make the soy boy joke after it had already gone stale from over a year ago. After a lieutenant in the Portland Police Department made an observation that the milkshakes had similar consistency to quick-dry cement, this recipe was emailed from an anonymous source, attempting to clarify this officer's allegation as the truth. Eventually, these allegations started spreading like wildfire, with numerous news websites reporting on the cement milkshake claim as if it was true. Publications like the New York Times and the Washington Post published articles about the event, including the allegations of milkshakes containing quick-dry cement. Whilst most news websites made the correct claim that the police have reported on allegations about the milkshakes, you have, at the same time, alt-right media personalities like Laura Ingraham and Paul Joseph Watson who didn't make the distinction between allegation and fact. They reported on it as if it was an undeniable fact that the milkshakes contained quick-drying cement. You are now seeing some of these claims on screen now from multiple individuals associated with the alternative right. So whilst the claims are not substantiated, the Portland police could not give evidence on cement-filled milkshakes when journalists pushed them on it. This claim will be continued to be reported on as if it is fact the next time someone gets milkshaked. I guarantee it will. But now you know the claims at best are allegations and nothing more. Claim 2. The picture of the bloodied up old man. This picture has been making the rounds over social media as if the Portland anti-fascists are attacking peaceful conservative protesters. What isn't being shown here is what happened before this incident. The same man, seen in this video with the hat and sunglasses, is recorded approaching anti-fascists with a baton in his right hand, swinging it at them as he approaches. The anti-fascists respond with violence, which leads to the picture following, showing the man with blood all over his face, which social media spread to show how bad Antifa is, whilst ignoring the events which led up to it. The man was the instigator of the fight, and it's clear when you watch it. However, this image is going to continuously be spread across the internet and social media to show that anti-fascist groups are always violent domestic terrorists. This is a case of don't judge a book by its cover. Previously, just before this man instigated with his melee weapon, this happened. an alt-right member comes from behind and chokes a person in a chokehold. This clip hasn't made its rounds on social media. I wonder why. Because it's about creating an appearance of being the victim. And if they show clips of alt-right protesters grabbing people in chokeholds like this, that appearance of victimhood ceases to exist. It evaporates. Gone. As it does for the old man too. He is clearly shown starting the altercation by striking an anti-fascist protester with his baton, and he gets retaliated against. This video shows it very clearly. Claim 3. Andy Ngo. The Andy Ngo incident has multiple parts to it, so it's nowhere near as simple as the incident involving the old man or the allegations of cement-filled milkshakes. Therefore, I'm going to split this up into sections. Claim 3A. What is Quillette? For this first example, there will be descriptions of an incident involving a white supremacist murder from the Charlottesville incident, which is important to reference in order to explain this media outlet. Skip ahead to this point in the video if such descriptions unsettle you. Andy Ngo is an editor for online magazine Quillette. This magazine has most commonly been described as libertarian-leaning by other media sources. However, it has also obtained a reputation that it is soft on the far right and reactionaries, brushing over events involving the far right and playing the both sides game, much like Donald Trump did after the Charlottesville vehicular assault, injuring 19, killing 1. Recently, the perpetrator of this attack was convicted in federal court, and he has now been sentenced to life imprisonment without the possibility of parole. Quillette's response to the Charlottesville Unite the Right rally where this incident of vehicular murder happened was very minimal, barely brushing over the fact that someone was killed by the far right in a terrorist attack inspired by previous ISIS terror attacks involving vehicles like that one in Nice, France. I searched multiple terms in Quillette's search feature such as Charlottesville, Unite the Right, the name of the convicted murderer who doesn't deserve to be named. I even searched the term Heather Heyer, the name of the woman who was murdered in the vehicular assault, which showed Quillette for the website it really is, offering only one short sentence talking about the event and never covering it again, doing the absolute minimum amount to not be confirmed that it is in reality an alt-right news outlet. There was much more about the anti-fascist presence in Charlottesville on the site than the fact that an alt-right terrorist murdered somebody. So that's what Quillette is. It claims to be an unbiased source, but once you dig under the message that it is an unbiased website pushing freedom of speech, its true nature becomes apparent. It over-reports on anti-fascist incidents and substantially under-reports on alt-right and neo-Nazi violence, and overlook the fact that groups like Jews and Muslims are targeted in their religious buildings through this white supremacist violence. 3B. Who is Andy Ngo? As I've said, he is an editor for Quillette. Andy was attacked by anti-fascists in Portland, Oregon, being struck with both fists and splashed with milkshakes. Like with the picture of the bloodied up man, this video of him being attacked has gone viral around social media to once again push the agenda of Antifa being a violent hate group opposed to free speech. Many were pushing the narrative of Antifa assaulting a journalist. So what's the truth? What you need to know is what Andy Ngo was involved in before, during the 1st of May, or Labor Day. On Twitter, Andy Ngo publicly released the name of an anti-fascist woman who got knocked out in a previous protest. Here's the tweet with the name blocked out, which is since deleted. This clip here isn't as simple as an innocent free speech supporting journalist being assaulted because Antifa doesn't believe in free speech. There's many more layers, such as this man, Andy Ngo, being involved in personally doxing of anti-fascists. He has publicly doxed people, and this is being ignored in the wider debate. This has happened repeatedly too. Also during the May Day protest came this scene here, where Andy records a list of people signing up for a group called Hands Off Venezuela, an organisation opposed to Western meddling in Venezuelan politics, seeing Juan Guaido's attempts to become Venezuelan president as a Western-backed coup. You can see this image here with most of the names covered by the person who uploaded this screenshot from Andy's video, which also, like his tweet doxing a woman, has been taken down. Connor recorded his experience on Twitter. Yeah, Mr. Andy Ngo is not a journalist. At May Day this year, he came over to a DSA table and deliberately took video of our sign-up sheet in order to dox people and help his fascist friends harass leftists. His presence at left-wing rallies is dangerous and he is not welcome. Some people asked for evidence that Andy did this. Here are the receipts. As you can see, I was on the list myself. Myself and others reported on the tweet, which included this video, and it was eventually removed days later. A link to the following tweet is given, but it leads to an empty page as the tweet no longer exists. Also following is a picture of that sign-up sheet with the names on it, which Andy Ngo publicised in his video on Twitter. Now we can see that this incident is not as simple as it was made out to be. Andy Ngo isn't an innocent bystander. He knowingly works for an organisation which downplays fascist violence, which at the same time publicly releases names of anti-fascist protesters and people who have signed up to be part of an anti-imperialist organisation opposed to Western interference in Venezuela. That's who Andy Ngo really is. For this next part, I will be talking about harassment and death threats, as well as personal accounts from journalists who have been faced with these experiences. Some of the descriptions in this part of the video essay will be disturbing. If descriptions of death threats are too disturbing for you to listen to, skip ahead to this point in the video here. Another example also followed by Alexander Ryder Ross, an anti-fascist author who wrote Against the Fascist Creep. He has now recently faced repeated death threats from the alt-right and neo-Nazi groups such as Atomwaffen, from him being included in a group published by Quillette as a verified Antifa account. Then, Ross follows up by mentioning that Quillette contributor Andy Ngo attempted to identify people as covert Antifa ideologues posing as experts for willing journalists, all of whom apparently have joined together in a plot to create a media Antifa industrial complex. Ngo is known for saying that anti-fascist activists are a violent menace, a message which is being aided by the far right on his podcasts and social media accounts, being dead set on identifying a so-called Antifa bias in the media. A few days later, while at work, Alexander receives a direct message on Twitter from a journalist friend who was not mentioned in the video or Quillette article. It read, "I just saw a crazy death threat against you and the other journalists and activists Quillette has been targeting. Are you okay?" Indeed, his name shows up on a hit list called Sunset the Media, amidst images of neo-Nazi violence and shootings. This video, posted to YouTube by supporters of the neo-Nazi terrorist organisation Atomwaffen Division, features the images of several journalists suggesting we should all be murdered. The video ends with a quote from Atomwaffen's neo-Nazi guru, James Mason, regarding stochastic terrorism. "I don't condone it, but when it gets done, I won't disown them," clearly giving his support, while saying he doesn't support it. He will not condemn people for killing the targeted journalists and authors from the Sunset the Media hit list. Quillette have not apologised for this. 3C. The Aftermath. After the incident, Andy Ngo released a picture of himself with bruises on his face and reported that he'd suffered a brain bleed from the incident. This is an empirical claim which we are now going to investigate. A brain bleed, or brain hemorrhage, is an injury which is present when the blood vessels around the brain get broken and blood leaks out into surrounding tissue. According to Harvard Medical School, a brain hemorrhage, or hemorrhagic stroke, is bleeding that suddenly interferes with the brain's normal function. The treatment for such an injury involves a lengthy recovery period. According to Harvard Medical School, only a minority of people are able to recover completely or near completely within 30 days. Why am I telling you this? Because Andy Ngo was out of hospital the next day after he said he had a brain bleed. He was out of hospital and having interviews and going on Fox News and CNN explaining the incident. If he really had internal bleeding in the brain, he healed so fast that scientists should take note of a superhuman ability to recover from a life-threatening injury. We need to make a documentary about the man who recovered in a single day from an injury that even the most hardy individuals take a month to recover from. This is some sort of superhuman we're dealing with here. Or maybe he's just lying. That's the most likely case. You don't recover overnight from an injury that severe and be mentally competent enough to talk about it on all the news channels. Many people require surgery after suffering such an injury. Once again, it is provable that Andy did not suffer a brain bleed in this instant, because if he did, he would still be in hospital, which he is not. So, what led him to fake a brain injury? Well, here's the truth. He was making money off this. A lot of money, in fact. Enough for the average person to live comfortably off for between 5 to 10 years with no additional income. As of the recording of this video, Andy Ngo had a friend start a GoFundMe, which in 3 days has received almost $200,000 worth of donations, which on GoFundMe, all of that money will go to the cause. That's right. Andy has made $250,000 off going to the Portland protests and getting punched in the face and splashed with a couple of milkshakes. All of that money is going to him. So here's what you should expect. This will happen again. The next time there's a protest, expect Andy to be there. Expect him to approach the anti-fascist protesters and start agitating them. Expect him to harass more left-wing people on Twitter and agitate anti-fascists against him even more. Expect him to have a friend film the altercation he gets into and make it go viral once again. And expect a friend, once again, to make another GoFundMe, which again will raise thousands of dollars. It's becoming his job. His job is to get attacked, and for people to flock to him with donations on GoFundMe. As long as he's making money from this, you will continue to see these situations happen, and a byproduct of them is that we can vilify anti-fascist resistance to fascism as if they are violent hate mobs who hate freedom of speech and expression, and with this, getting US centres to parrot their propaganda in an attempt to get anti-fascism mocked as a domestic terrorist ideology. That's actually what's going on here. Conclusion. Getting attacked by anti-fascists is profitable and creates a very promising narrative that the media, and even I admit me, once believed. Until I looked further and saw heaps on top of heaps of misinformation that is being weaponized against those who oppose white supremacy and the far right. If you oppose the repeated mass murders of minorities and ideologies which lead to these murders, you're an anti-fascist. It really is that simple. You don't have to be part of a group to be anti-fascism. It's just something you believe in, something you do. Exposing their lies and propaganda is an anti-fascist action, and one we need to be more quick to act upon, to prevent the narratives of concrete milkshakes and the bloodied old men being the primary things we think of when we hear the word Antifa. We must be quicker to spread the truth that is being hidden from us, featuring the videos where it is the old man who throws the first strike with the baton, and screaming from the rooftops that it was in reality him who started the fight, making it clear that they have no proof that there was cement in the milkshakes however many times they want to repeat the lie. You may have heard once before a concept called the big lie. That is when one lies, one should lie big and stick to it. Keep up your lies even at the risk of looking ridiculous. This epitomizes the attempts to say that anti-fascism is the same as fascism by both the far right and the centrist liberals. And again, I must once again point out where I was wrong, when I myself used this sort of language where I quoted Winston Churchill saying this: the fascists of the future will call themselves anti-fascists. Except I was wrong. Winston Churchill never said this, but the memes are everywhere, and when people see such a strong authoritative source as Winston Churchill, someone they see as a national hero during the Second World War, say something so decisive, it becomes abundantly apparent how these lies spread and are accepted as truth without even doing the smallest bit of research. An appeal to an authority they view as a hero of history is all it takes to get them to believe the dumbest things. Here is the US Governor of the state of Texas perpetuating the big lie, with the authority of Churchill backing it up, echoing and resonating across the present day, where it will be spread across even more ears. A lie becomes so big, it becomes the truth without even requiring criticism. I thank you for watching this video essay for a recent event in the ever-continuing war between those who view some groups as inferior and dangerous, and those who oppose those people. Once again, misinformation has found its way into the public's eye, and it must be reported on to understand where these pieces of misinformation originate from, and how a lie becomes common knowledge, which is uncritically accepted as the truth. This is why videos like this are so important, to counteract the swarms of videos continuing to perpetuate the big lie. Sometimes you just need to take a larger look, an overview over the whole event, instead of zooming into the viral images which confirm the big lie we have all accepted. I've put my current production on hold as these events happened, and this is a much more important video to be made. If you want to, you can give me a financial incentive to make more videos through Patreon, or you can buy me a coffee. Both of those links are in the description. Although if you buy me a coffee, I'm going to be spending the coffee money on tea because I'm British, and British people love tea. This is an undeniable fact. Like, share, subscribe and all that if you like the video, and I'll see you in the next one.